Hello, today's on the shelf video is about our beginning sewing work, which is yarn and burlap. So the child has already learned to cut the yarn. So what we usually show them at school is to cut the yarn the length of the table. So I will do that here. But wherever your workspace is, you want to just give them some sort of idea of like how long their string should be. So I'm going to cut it the length of the table. And then I have a cool tying trick. So after you thread the needle, we always start with like the embroidery needle. One is not very sharp, but also the eye is very big, so you can fit the yarn through there. I show to make the strings or each end about the same length. And then this is a cool trick I learned in training. You can also just put it back into the push pin pad and then our cushion, and then show to wrap around and do a traditional knot like that. But this is a fun thing that I learned. Just gonna undo it so you can see it, or maybe not. Okay. So you can make a circle. So you're gonna lay the strings on top of the needle. Okay, so you're making a circle. And then you're gonna wrap it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Pinch, push it up like a rocket ship, and it will form the knot at the bottom of the string. So the next part that you want to do, and this is something that we teach in the classroom, is that the needle is always either in your hand or in the pin cushion. We don't want them running around with the needle. So either they're using it to do the sewing or it's in the pin cushion. You can have just a piece of burlap, or you can also have the burlap inside in the embroidery hoop, which just kind of makes it easier for them to hold on to. You can do any sort of shape. I'm going to do a heart because I love hearts, and that's what I always do. You can create the shape with a marker. They can also trace any shape from around the house, whatever they want to do. And then they're going to take their needle and start from the bottom. And so once they pull up, so then we're going to push down. So we're just following the guide of the marker. So at first I showed to flip, okay, and then look and try to get it through on the line, and then push it down, and then flip to pull it up. You'll know that your child is ready to move on to just regular fabric and a smaller needle when they don't have to do the flip, when they can kind of do it just by watching from the front. They can definitely look, and their stitches should be pretty close to each other. We want to see a pretty even stitch before we move on to the more challenging sewing work. So this is just the beginning. They are going to create the stitches along the shape, and then they'll need your help to tie it off at the end. So this is a completed one, and this child tied it on the front. That's okay. We usually try to have them tie it at the back so that it's nice and flat on the front, but whatever, doesn't matter, it's their work. So when they're done, you'll just show them to cut it off and then tie it close, close to the string, and they can use the needle to go through. You probably can't see, but to tie it close to the burlap. And if they run out of string, then they're going to need to cut it earlier. Like, they want to make sure that they have enough room to make a knot so that it doesn't come through, and then they can just remeasure and start with the new thread to finish their shape. So that's burlap sewing with an embroidery needle. And then basically you would follow the same process, but with regular fabric and a smaller needle and thread for the next step. So once they are able to, they're pretty competent with making their stitches even and doing that process independently, then they can move on to using a smaller needle that's a little bit sharper and regular fabric before moving on to even more challenging sewing work. Okay, thanks.